Okay, so I have two small mini paintings that I just finished and they need to be coated with protective varnish. So I'm using the one from Winsor & Newton and it's a satin finish, so you can choose glossy or semi-gloss or whatever brand do you want try for your paintings. The one process that I use, of course there are many ways, is going horizontal and then vertical. Let it dry between coats and apply several coats as you wish or you desire the finish to be. For the flat painting, which is in the canvas panel, I didn't have to do it on the sides, but on the piggy painting I did because it's pretty thick. It's one of those wrap canvas, so I have to go around the sides and do the same process. Of course, do this in a ventilated area, in a well-ventilated area, in just a mask, and you don't want to be breathing those particles for sure. There is some kind of varnish or protective coatings that they are applied with a brush, and Liquitex made several of them and a couple other brands, so you just will have to search and investigate in the market. I love recycling and repurposing items. So, in some of the ones that I'm very frequent about is doing the frames. And I found this frame, which is perfect size for this little boy with ducks on the lake painting, which is a small painting and it's flat. So the only problem is the Sharpie market on the price, and Sharpies on wood is just killing the wood. It goes into several layers of the wood, so I have to remove that, and I'm using a sandpaper. The grit is 100. You can use 200 or 210 depending on the wood. This one is pine wood. I love the frames that I recycle. Most of them are pretty much made of solid wood. So it takes a while to get the Sharpie out, and because there is gonna be a little bit lighter color on that area, so I have to go around the entire frame to make it unison. Do this careful so you don't damage the paint on the front, or you can always sand both sides and refinish your picture frame on the color that you wish. I think this took the longest for me, but I actually wanna use this frame. Was just perfect for this painting. That's something to take into consideration when you are hunting for some picture frames. If it has a Sharpie on plain on the wood, you're going to be doing some elbow grease in there trying to sand off that number, and it does come out. It's just that the wood is too dry, and the Sharpie, I don't know how long it's been there, but it just bleeds into the wood because it's a natural element. Now when you're sanding, I'm sanding toward the grain, so the grain is horizontal in that area, and I'm doing the same strokes to not to damage the wood. So that's something to take into consideration. So when you're sanding, I think I did a couple vertical strokes and then going back to the horizontal side. It was just a persistent, resilient little stain. After I'm done with that, I just went around and sand the rest of the piece on the back. Now I'm going carefully around each corner, making sure that the wood is not damaged, making sure there is no crack or open or splint. So I already did the inspection on that, but I just want to make sure with the tension is not doing any extra accidentals that sometimes it does happen. So I use a brush, an old brush that I have. It's a flat brush to just dust off all the tiny little wood particles that are inside the corners of the frame lining. So it just makes it easier for me. And then I vacuum those particles. It is ready now. I'm going to buy to work on the mat, the back cover. So the painting is gonna be inserted into the picture frame, and then as a backing, I want a mat board. So this is a black mat board that I have, and I'm measuring the size of the opening, which is the same size of your painting. This one is 5 by 7. So I'm making tiny little lines, very light markings with my pencil, and I will go ahead and proceed cutting it with my my paper cutter. I do the pencil lines very, very light. You don't need to put a lot of pressure. It's just for you to guide where the blade is going to be. This paper cutter is one of those exchangeable blades, and you just press it. In another video I'm going to show how you change it. It is a very old one, and it just, it's light, it's portable, compact. I really like it. So I went go ahead and cut the mat, measure it, and cut, insert the painting, and then put the backing. And I'm off few millimeters, just off, and it can be because I move or my blade move, or I didn't put that much pressure. And that's one thing that you have to put pressure on this one, so your paper or your boards don't move, and also so you can have a straight cut. I went through, because this is a matte board for matting, so it's thick. I went scoring a couple times before lifting the blade up back. So the second try worked perfect, and because this painting is not heavy at all, but it needs to be framed to the standards of the boutique that is going to be displayed on, and they do require D rings to hang. So I'm going to be installing the D rings. So I'm signing it right now because I forgot that I had my signature on the back. So, and I put the year, so my name and the year that it was created. So I'm gonna just glue a little bit of tagging it just on the corners, tiny little bit of glue to hold it in place with the frame, the painting with the frame, and then I'm putting back the black board as a cover, and then gluing it a little bit. And you will see that it doesn't have that much glue. It doesn't need that much glue. So if the person decides to change the paint, the frame of the painting in the future, hopefully gets an owner to go home and love it. They won't have that much trouble just popping it out of there. So the painting has to go first, and I'm just tapping a little bit, putting a little bit of dab of the hot glue, and be careful using your hot glue. And you can clean all of those spider webs of the residue at the end. That way you don't make a mess with the hot glue, or you don't burn yourself. So that should be something that you put in your notes there. Just clean, make sure that the final piece looks presentable. The glue gun was still cold, so the glue was not flowing, and I had to test it a couple of times to make sure that it was actually doing its job. But it was just taking too long, or I was just being too impatient. So the painting first, and then the backing. And of course, this is only one way that I do it, and there are many ways. So you just choose the one that you feel comfortable and is convenient for you. If you do any other forms, just explain it, tell us, share it with us in the comment box. We would like to hear that. See, I'm testing the tip. Don't do that, because you can actually burn yourself. So I don't know how many scars I have in my hand, so quite a few for sure, and quite deep ones that I know for sure. I had to do some fingerprinting when I was working with the kids, so for the school requirements, I got to see them in the big screen, so they were pretty big scars working with stained glass and many other. So there is the back to the topics, and in here I just put a tiny little dab on the painting and on the corners, and then I just go the same on the blackboard on the corners, and then the it's gonna be ready for the rings, the deer rings. I won't be worried about cleaning the spider webs, those tiny little strands that the hot glue leaves behind, not until everything is settled and dry, so that way there is no smudges or I burn myself too, which I have done that. So be careful. I bought this invisible hanging wire, and I am no fan at all. It's the new trend. I don't like it, and they call it wire, but it's just a piece of rope made of nylon or plastic. The deer rings that I'm talking about are these ones. Those are the ones that most of the galleries or boutiques are going to require your paintings to be hang with, and they don't like any other little eye screws or something like that. Nothing like that. They need something like the hooks. So that's what, it doesn't matter what size the painting it is. They require, this boutique requires if it is a painting, it needs to have the hooks. So I try not to put it too close to the top. The reason is because sometimes the wire or the invisible line will stretch, and because of the gravity, and you don't want the wire or the invisible line to show on top of your picture frame. So I usually go 2.5 inches. This time I chose 2, and go from there. Now with the hooks, you can place them horizontal or vertical. I choose doing horizontal, and want to make sure that the screw is right in the middle of that wood piece on that frame. And sometimes it needs a little bit of pre-drill hole or a nail. If you have a nail, you can tap it lightly, especially if you have a glass on the other side, or do it before you insert the glass. Want to make sure that you have it started. This time it didn't need that, but at times it can be a hassle, and you will see in the other piece that I did for the giraffe jumping on the moon that it did create a hassle, a little trouble thing. So you never know. It's a natural wood. These frames that I choose, they're repurposed natural wood, and every single piece just behaves completely different. So this one went easy, and then goes the second one. Then it has a little bevel edge. The bevel goes face down, and then the smooth part face toward you. so it looks like a nice finish. I already did my little pinpoint marks in there, so I know where the next one is gonna go. And everything is just requires time, and this is one of the parts that I'm not very fond, but it needs to be done. I have a very overworked screwdriver, so I need a new one. And this one went easy, but the next pieces took me a little bit more of a toggle, and I even had to do a search for my emergency tiny itty bitty screwdriver. So this is the hook, the tie or hang invisible line, and you curl it around and then go inside the loop to secure it. And so I did I believe 11 inches for this one. Yes, 11 inches. And then you just divide it in half and then just do it evenly. And sometimes I miss, but you did your best trying to measure them. Like I said before, this is the part that it takes a little bit more. The most you have to be careful with your painting that your frame doesn't get a scratch. Make sure that the surface that you're putting your frame is smooth, and so it doesn't create marks or scratches to your finished frame. I am not very fond of this string of nylon called wire thing. I'm the old-fashioned, so I still do some of the frames using the coil string rope of the wire, the metal wire. So I'll show some of those videos ahead, in the future, how I have done some of the other paintings, especially when they are heavy. This one, there is not much difference. They are very light paintings. They just have a standard and prerequisite that it needs to be done with them. So it may seem too much hassle and putting in waste of money putting the two hooks, but if I want them in this place to be displayed in the city, this is a tiny little art boutique that we have in our city, they need to have these hooks. Again, that's what I have to frame them. Now when I do this one is nylon, but I still do the final tape on the edges with the wire. It is as a courtesy to do the tape, because the people who are helping or volunteering to hang the paintings, sometimes they do get injured with those pokey little wire things, especially because your paintings do get handled, changing by rooms, or the displays, the walls and things like that. So you want to make it easy for the people who is helping the curators on the galleries or the boutiques that they've been displayed. So be conscious, be mindful about that, and I'll show you ahead on this video how I do the same process that I did for this nylon rope on the wire rope. So I'm holding with the plier one edge and then my other hand, and put some pressure in there to make it tight, and seems that it worked. Now to add the second rope around the D-ring, I want to make sure that it's not too long to hang, that it will show on top of the frame. So that means when the picture is hanging, sometimes you see the wire hanging on top of the frame. That is because they left it too long. You have to measure that it doesn't surpass the top, and consider that when you are framing, because gravity is pulling it down. These frames are very light. Like I said, the paintings are pretty much very lightweight, so it won't make that much difference, but it will make difference on your heavy paintings, especially if the picture frame has glass on it, so, or stained glass or leaded glass, any other type of frame or art media that you might be framing. Make sure that doesn't go, you see, it doesn't go on over the frame, so when it hangs it will be hidden. So this is the tape I use. It's just the regular masking tape. You can use any type of tape that you prefer, or some people I had seen they use the electrician's tape. I don't do that. It's just this one is it's more practical for me. So I wrap the edge that is hanging in there and go a couple of rounds. You will do the same thing if you're using the old method of using the wire, which that's the one I like. I wanted to try on this invisible line, and I'm not too convinced yet. So anyways, I'm glad that it's the the last of the roll now. So the second edge is still there hanging, and it is hard. And even though there is no wire inside, it's just the nylon rope. I don't know what kind of technology. So I'm tightening it a little bit. I undo the wrapping and I'm making a little bit tight. Not too tight that it can be hung, but at least you know, a half an inch more, and going around again and then try to go through the loop. Going through the loop sometimes is the challenge, especially when I did not leave that much of a space on the tip, and that's what I use the wires. This might be a little bit of work for your hands, especially if you suffer from arthritis, which I do. So it's not pleasant for my fingers to be twisting like that, but you know, it works for our new youth generation. It's just, you know, piece of cake. But I use the plier for the edge, and then just tie, make it very tight, and then I will use the tape to secure. So that's it. Those are the requirements for this little piece to be accepted in one of the boutiques, and is ready to go. Removing the last strings of the glue carefully, and you see there is now almost nothing of glue. It's just, it is not needed. It's the light that the painting fits all snuggle in there, and it just needs like a dust cover, so it gives them a nice finish, a professional finish. Now dusting the last of the debris that I have, whatever residue from working around the poor little frame, and painting, and then just make it presentable. And it's done. Now for the other piece, the canvas wrap is very small, but it still needs the D-frames, hooks, the hook frames if I need it to be displayed in this store. So I'm going through the area that I don't feel the canvas overlapping, so there is only one layer in there, and again, I'm going in the middle of the frame. I will go ahead and you can do a pinpoint started with a nail if you want, or just, you know, try to screw the pieces as we did the first picture frame. Again, we're using the same invisible line rope. We need pliers, we need the tape, and the screwdriver. I use them horizontal. You can put them vertical, however you want them to be. I just, you know, I like this position, and that's the one that I'm using for this one as well. So this one is going to be a little bit more challenging because if you see, there is not enough space on the center, probably 2 inches or so, but it still has to have those hooks in there, which it can be a little bit of a challenge. Some people don't put the hooks, and they just provide an easel, which I do have the easels, the mini easels, but if I want it to be hung, at least it is ready for the client. It is, you know, it is up to you, and this is just because it's going to be displayed. That's what I'm showing it in here. Some of the boutiques or art contests, they will require that you do this. That's what I'm showing you here in this video. The wood was very soft, which I am thankful for, and it went smooth. Now I'm going the second one, and I'm having a little bit more trouble because my screwdriver needs to be retired. It's just the tip is already worn out, so it skips with the thing, but it went through. They're there, both of them, and now the rope. I think I'm doing 10 this time, and instead of 11. You might say, okay, well, but it's smaller, but it still needs that wrapping, those loops wrapping around, and you want to make sure that you have space to go inside the loop without any hassle. That's what I'm using my pliers sometimes to pull in case it's needed. Go inside, go through the loop, put the D loop on, and then start wrapping it around. Now it's a smaller piece, so it's a little bit more challenging. You can get in there. So I think I went like 3 or 4 times. I think 4 times, 4 or 5 times is good. And this little painting is actually heavier than the first one that we did with the boy and the ducks. The boy in the raincoat and the ducks is heavier because the wood is heavier. So now I'm trying to get that edge of the rope and go through the eye of the first loop. And I need my pliers because I can get it through with my nails, so I'm tightening it and it came undone. So I'm getting a little bit extra length in there. 2, 3, 4, and then go inside and through. And the instructions will be in your box if you decide to, in your package if you decide to use this kind of rope also. Like I said, I am no fond of it, and I'm glad it's the last of the row, but I need the plier to create that tension, and then I'll go ahead and reinforce with the secure with the tape, the masking tape. So the same, I'm pulling on top to make sure that it doesn't overpass the top of my painting, so it doesn't look unprofessional or tacky, or it's just no good appealing, eye appealing, visual appealing. And now it's going after the loops, going inside the eye loop. And this one went a little bit easier because I had extra wire in there. And that's it. The first one that I did to make sure that it had a little bit more of a tightness. Okay, so now to get the pliers, trying to tie them down as much as I can without breaking the rope. You have to be careful. And put in the Scotch tape. One side, and now one with the other, and they're overlapping because the space is so small, so reduced, but it's still it needs to be put in that way. It is set. I mean, if you need it for the customer wants to put it on the wall or an easel, they can go ahead and do that. There is no problem. You already provide that for your client, which I think is pretty neat. Okay, it's done. Those are the D hooks, and the painting is ready. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, subscribe, like, and let me know your comments. Thank you for visiting.